Stop scrolling for just a moment. Before you move on, before you tell yourself you'll listen later, hear these words carefully. This is not an accident. This is not just another video appearing on your screen. There is a reason you are here right now, at this exact moment. Heaven has been trying to reach you, and today, you finally stopped long enough to listen. My child, I know what you have been carrying. I know the thoughts that have been racing through your mind. I know the questions you have asked when no one else was around. I know the prayers you whispered through tears, wondering if anyone in heaven could hear your voice. I know the moments when you felt abandoned, forgotten, and exhausted from fighting battles that never seemed to end. You have tried to stay strong. You smiled when your heart was breaking. You encouraged others while secretly feeling discouraged yourself. You kept moving forward even when every step felt heavier than the one before. And there were nights when you lay awake staring into the darkness, asking, God, where are you? Do you see what I'm going through? Do you even hear me anymore? Listen to me carefully. I heard every prayer. I saw every tear. I never left your side. Even when you could not feel my presence, I was there. Even when the silence felt unbearable, I was working in ways you could not see. Even when you thought nothing was changing, heaven was moving on your behalf. That is why I need your attention right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right now. Because something is happening that you cannot yet fully understand. The struggle you've been facing is not the whole story. The delay you've been frustrated by is not the final chapter. The disappointment you've been carrying is not the ending I have written for your life. There is more. Much more. What you are about to hear may change the way you see your situation forever. The enemy has worked hard to convince you that nothing will ever change. He has whispered lies into your mind. He has told you that your prayers are unanswered, your future is uncertain, and your best days are behind you. But he is wrong. Your story is not over. Your breakthrough is not canceled. Your purpose has not disappeared. And the reason heaven has been trying to reach you is because I refuse to let you walk into another day believing those lies. So stay with me. Do not scroll away. Do not let distractions steal this moment. Because before this message is over, you will understand why I brought you here today, and why the season you are in is about to make more sense than ever before. My child, there are things you have carried that no one else knows about. There are battles you never spoke about because you were afraid no one would understand. There are wounds hidden so deeply that even the people closest to you have never seen them. You learned how to smile when your heart was hurting. You learned how to say, I'm fine, when inside you felt like you were falling apart. But I saw it all. I saw the tears you wiped away before anyone could notice. I saw the disappointment you buried beneath your daily responsibilities. I saw the moments when you sat alone, wondering how much longer you could keep carrying the weight on your shoulders. You may have convinced others that everything was okay, but you never had to convince me. I know the pain you never told anyone about. I know about the prayer that seemed unanswered. I know about the door that closed unexpectedly. I know about the relationship that broke your heart. I know about the opportunity you lost. I know about the fear that keeps visiting your mind late at night. Nothing about your suffering has been hidden from me. There were days when you felt forgotten. Days when it seemed like everyone else was moving forward while you remained stuck in the same place. You watched others celebrate victories while you were still fighting battles nobody could see. And if you are honest, there were moments when you wondered if I had overlooked you. But I never did. Not for a single second. While you were crying, I was listening. While you were waiting, I was watching. While you were struggling, I was holding you together in ways you could not understand. You thought your strength was running out, yet somehow you kept going. You thought you would not survive certain seasons, yet here you are. You thought the pressure would break you, but you are still standing. Do you know why? Because even when you felt alone, you were never carrying those burdens by yourself. I was beside you. I was strengthening you when you felt weak. I was comforting you when no one else knew you needed comfort. I was protecting you from things you never even saw. There are battles that never reached you because I stood in the way. There are dangers you never encountered because my hand was covering you. There are moments when the enemy wanted to destroy your hope completely, but I refused to allow it. My child, you have been much closer to giving up than anyone realizes. You have smiled through heartbreak. You have worked through exhaustion. You have worshipped through confusion. You have continued believing when circumstances gave you every reason to quit, and heaven has seen every bit of it. Nothing you endured was wasted. Every tear mattered. Every prayer mattered. Every lonely night mattered. Every moment you chose faith instead of surrendering to despair mattered. The world may not have noticed your struggle, but heaven did. I did. I know the memories that still hurt when they cross your mind. I know the names you try not to think about. I know the disappointments you never fully recovered from. I know the dreams that seemed to die before they had a chance to live. And I know the silent question that has been hiding in your heart. God, why did I have to go through all of this? That question is not offensive to me. I understand it, because the pain was real. The disappointment was real. The waiting was real. But what you cannot yet see is that I was present in every chapter, even in the chapters you wish had never happened, even in the seasons that made no sense, even in the valleys where you felt abandoned. I was there, closer than you realized, working more than you understood, loving you more than you knew. And before this message is over, I am going to show you something that may change the way you see your entire journey, because the season you thought was breaking you may actually have been preparing you for something far greater than you can imagine. And that is why you must keep listening. My child, one of the questions that has lived in your heart for a long time is this: God, if you love me, why did this season last so long? You prayed for relief. You prayed for answers. You prayed for a breakthrough. And yet the days became weeks. The weeks became months. And for some of you, the months became years. You waited. You hoped. You trusted. But there were moments when you wondered if your waiting had any purpose at all. Hear me carefully. The length of your season was never evidence of my absence. It was evidence of my preparation. I know it did not feel that way. When doors remained closed, it felt like rejection. When opportunities disappeared, it felt like loss. When prayers seemed unanswered, it felt like silence. But what you called silence was often my protection. There were things you asked for that were not yet ready. There were blessings that required preparation before they could be trusted in your hands. There were doors that looked good from where you stood but would have led you into unnecessary pain. Because I can see what you cannot see, I sometimes protect my children through delay. You only see the current chapter. I see the entire story. You see today's disappointment. I see tomorrow's victory. You see the closed door. I see the danger standing behind it. You see the delay. I see the preparation. My child, there are lessons that can only be learned in waiting seasons. Faith grows in waiting. Character grows in waiting. Wisdom grows in waiting. Trust grows in waiting. The version of you that first entered this season is not the same person listening to these words today. You are stronger now, more discerning now, more dependent on me now, more prepared now. You may not recognize the transformation because it happened slowly, but heaven has watched every step. The struggle changed you. The waiting refined you. The uncertainty deepened your faith. What felt like punishment was often preparation. Think about it. If I had given you everything immediately, would you have become the person capable of carrying it? If every prayer had been answered instantly, would you have learned to trust me beyond your circumstances? If every obstacle had disappeared the moment it appeared, would your faith have developed roots deep enough to survive future storms? Sometimes I delay what you want because I am developing what you need, and what you need will always be more important than what you want. I know there were days when you thought I had forgotten you. I know there were nights when disappointment whispered lies into your mind. The enemy tried to convince you that the delay meant denial. He tried to make you believe that your future had been canceled. He wanted you to stop expecting good things. He wanted you to give up right before the breakthrough. But I kept you. Even when your faith felt weak, I kept you. Even when you questioned me, I kept you. Even when you wanted to walk away, I kept calling your name, because I knew something you did not know. The season was not lasting forever. The waiting had an expiration date. The preparation had a purpose. And every day that passed was moving you closer to the moment I had already prepared. My child, there are blessings that arrive quickly. But there are also blessings so significant, so life-changing, so connected to your purpose that they require a deeper process. You have been living inside that process. What felt like being forgotten was actually being formed. What felt like being delayed was actually being directed. What felt like being overlooked was actually being protected. I was not wasting your time. I was building your future. I was strengthening your foundation. I was removing things that could not go where I am taking you. I was teaching you to hear my voice more clearly. I was preparing your heart for what is coming next. And one day you will look back on this season and realize something remarkable. You will realize that the very season you wanted to escape became the season that prepared you for your greatest blessing. You will understand why certain doors stayed closed. You will understand why certain people left. You will understand why certain plans failed. And instead of asking, "Why did this take so long?" you will say, "Now I see why God waited. Because my timing is not designed to frustrate you. My timing is designed to protect you, prepare you, and position you for something greater than you can currently imagine. And what I have been preparing behind the scenes is far more significant than you realize. In fact, while you were wondering whether I was working at all, I was already putting pieces into place that are about to change everything. My child, while you were focused on what was not happening, I was busy accomplishing things you could not see. One of the greatest struggles of faith is that you often judge my work by visible evidence. When nothing appears to be changing, you assume nothing is happening. When doors remain closed, you assume I am standing still. When answers do not arrive immediately, you assume I have forgotten. But I have never been inactive. Not for a single moment. While you were waiting, I was working. While you were praying, I was preparing. While you were wondering whether I heard you, I was already moving pieces into place that would eventually become the answer you had been asking for. You only see what is in front of you. I see what is ahead of you. I see every conversation before it happens. I see every opportunity before it arrives. I see every person who will cross your path. I see every door that is meant to open and every trap that must remain closed. That is why I ask you to trust me even when you cannot see what I am doing. Because some of my greatest works happen behind the scenes. There were people I had to move out of your life before I could bring the right people into it. There were lessons you needed to learn before stepping into your next season. There were wounds I needed to heal before certain blessings could be safely entrusted to you. You were asking for the destination, but I was strengthening you for the journey. You were asking for the blessing, but I was preparing you to sustain it. You were asking me to change your circumstances, while I was first changing your heart. And that work matters more than you realize. My child, there are things I protected you from that you may never fully understand on this side of eternity. There were opportunities that looked perfect, but would have led to heartbreak. There were relationships that seemed promising, but would have distracted you from your purpose. There were decisions you almost made that would have taken you down roads I never intended for you to travel. Many times you cried over what did not happen. Yet heaven was celebrating because of what did not happen. You called it disappointment. I called it protection. You called it loss. I called it redirection. You called it failure. I called it preparation. If I revealed everything I have prevented, you would understand why. My hand sometimes felt slow. It was never slowness. It was wisdom. Even now, there are things taking place that you cannot see. I am arranging connections. I am creating opportunities. I am opening hearts. I am closing doors that would harm you. I am making pathways through situations that currently seem impossible. And while none of it may be visible today, it is no less real. Remember this: a seed does not stop growing simply because it is underground. Most of the important work happens before anyone sees the first sign of life. Roots grow before fruit appears. Foundations are built before houses stand. Preparation comes before promotion. And that is exactly what has been happening in your life. The roots have been growing. The foundation has been forming. The preparation has been taking place. The process may have been hidden, but it has not been wasted. The enemy wanted you to become discouraged during this hidden season. He wanted you to believe your prayers were falling into silence. He wanted you to abandon your faith because you could not see immediate results. But what he did not know was that every prayer you offered was becoming part of a larger story. Every act of faith was strengthening your spirit. Every day you refused to quit was bringing you closer to the moment I had already prepared. My child, there are answers on the way that began moving long before you saw any evidence of them. There are blessings already in motion. There are breakthroughs already being arranged. There are doors already beginning to unlock. And when they arrive, many people will call it sudden. They will think everything changed overnight. But you and I will know the truth. The breakthrough was not sudden. The miracle was not random. The blessing was not accidental. It was the result of months, perhaps years, of unseen work that heaven had been doing behind the scenes. So do not lose heart because you cannot yet see the full picture. Do not measure my activity by what your eyes can currently observe. Trust that I am working even when you cannot see it. Trust that I am moving even when you cannot feel it. Trust that I am preparing something greater than you imagine. Because very soon, you will begin to see signs that the season of preparation is giving way to the season of breakthrough. And when those signs appear, you will finally understand why I never stopped working on your behalf. My child, many people expect breakthrough to arrive with obvious signs. They expect a dramatic announcement. They expect instant change. They expect every problem to disappear overnight. But often, before a breakthrough becomes visible, there are signs that begin to appear beneath the surface. And if you look carefully, some of those signs may already be present in your life. The first sign is this: the battle has intensified. I know that sounds strange. You may think that if a breakthrough were near, life would become easier. Yet many times, the opposite happens. The enemy becomes more aggressive when he senses that his influence is about to be broken. The resistance increases. The doubts become louder. The discouragement grows stronger. Why? Because darkness fights hardest when it realizes it is losing ground. Do not mistake increased opposition for abandonment. Sometimes it is evidence that something significant is approaching. The second sign is that old things are beginning to leave your life. Relationships that once felt permanent are changing. Habits that once controlled you no longer satisfy you. Certain environments no longer feel comfortable. You may feel confused by these changes, but do not fear them. I am removing what no longer belongs in your next season. Not every ending is a loss. Some endings are preparation. Some endings are protection. Some endings are necessary for new beginnings to emerge. The third sign is a growing hunger for me. You find yourself thinking more deeply about your purpose. You find yourself seeking my presence more often. You begin to realize that the things of this world cannot satisfy the deepest needs of your soul. That hunger is not an accident. It is my spirit drawing you closer because I am preparing you for what comes next. Before I change circumstances, I often deepen relationship. Before I release blessing, I strengthen connection. The fourth sign is what many people call holy restlessness. You cannot fully explain it. You know something is shifting, even though you cannot yet see what it is. The life you have been living no longer feels like the final destination. There is a sense that something more is ahead, something greater, something different. That feeling is not always anxiety. Sometimes it is heaven preparing your heart for transition. My child, pay attention when you begin feeling that stirring inside your spirit. The fifth sign is unexpected peace. Not because all your problems are gone, not because every prayer has already been answered, but because I am allowing you to feel my presence in the middle of uncertainty. The world cannot explain this peace. It appears when circumstances say you should be worried. It remains when logic says you should be afraid. This peace is often one of the strongest indicators that I am near. It is my reminder that I am still in control. The sixth sign is that you are becoming stronger than you realize. A year ago, certain situations would have completely overwhelmed you. Now you handle them differently. Not perfectly, but differently. You recover faster. You trust deeper. You endure longer. The growth has been gradual, but it is real. You are no longer the person who entered this season, and that transformation is part of the breakthrough itself. Finally, there is one sign many people overlook. The enemy keeps trying to convince you that nothing is changing. Have you noticed that? Despite everything I have already brought you through, there is still a voice whispering that your future will never improve. That voice is not coming from me. The enemy does not spend his energy attacking people who have no purpose. He attacks what he fears. He resists what heaven is preparing. He fights hardest when he knows his time is short. So do not allow fear to interpret your situation. Do not allow discouragement to write your story. Do not allow temporary circumstances to convince you that I have forgotten my promises, because I have not. I see what is coming. I see the door that is beginning to open. I see the healing that is beginning to unfold. I see the blessing that is moving toward you even now. And while you may not see it yet, heaven can already see the first rays of dawn breaking over a night that has lasted long enough. Your breakthrough is closer than it has ever been before, and the enemy knows it. That is why the battle has been so intense. But what he fears most is not your past. It is the future I am preparing for you. My child, before we continue, I want you to pause for a moment. If these words have touched your heart, if you feel that I am speaking directly into your situation, do not keep it to yourself. Right now, type, God is working behind the scenes. Let that be your declaration of faith today. Even if you cannot see the full picture, choose to believe that I am moving on your behalf. Choose to believe that your waiting has not been wasted and your prayers have not been ignored. And if this message is encouraging you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Every day, these messages reach people who are struggling, hurting, and searching for hope just like you. Most importantly, stay with me until the end, because what I am about to reveal next may explain why the enemy has been fighting you so intensely and why your breakthrough may be much closer than you think. My child, there is something I need you to understand. The enemy does not attack what has no value. He does not waste his energy on something that poses no threat to his plans. He targets what he fears, and what he feared most was never your weakness. It was your future. It was the person you were becoming through every trial, every disappointment, and every season of waiting. For a long time, you thought the battles were proof that something was wrong with you. You wondered why life seemed harder than it should have been. You questioned why certain struggles appeared again and again. You asked why the attacks seemed relentless. But what if those battles were not evidence of your failure? What if they were evidence of your calling? The enemy saw possibilities in you long before you saw them yourself. He saw gifts you had not fully discovered. He saw strength that had not yet developed. He saw purpose that had not yet been revealed. And because he could not stop my plan directly, he tried to stop the person I had chosen to carry it. That person is you. Think about all the moments when you almost gave up. The moments when discouragement became overwhelming. The moments when fear whispered that nothing would ever change. The moments when disappointment convinced you to lower your expectations. Those attacks were not random. They were strategic. The enemy wanted to exhaust you before your breakthrough arrived. He wanted to convince you that your future was hopeless. He wanted you to abandon the very promises I had spoken over your life, because if he could make you quit, he would never have to face the impact of what I planned to do through you. My child, many people misunderstand spiritual warfare. They assume the battle is about where they are, but often the battle is about where they are going. The enemy was not fighting your present. He was fighting your potential. He was fighting your destiny. He was fighting the healing that would eventually come from your story. He was fighting the testimony that would inspire others. He was fighting the future version of you who would stand stronger, wiser, and closer to me than ever before. That is why some seasons felt unusually difficult. That is why some attacks seemed to come from every direction. That is why you sometimes felt pressure that made no sense, because there was more at stake than you realized. Yet despite everything the enemy tried, you are still here. Think about that. You survived. You endured. You kept moving forward. You may not have done it perfectly. There were moments of doubt, moments of fear, moments of frustration, but you did not completely surrender. And that frustrates the enemy more than you know, because every day you remained standing was another defeat for his plans. Every prayer you prayed was a reminder that your faith was still alive. Every act of trust was proof that darkness had not won. The enemy attacked your confidence because he feared your courage. He attacked your peace because he feared your faith. He attacked your relationships because he feared the support God would send through others. He attacked your hope because he feared what would happen if you truly believed my promises. Most of all, he attacked your identity, because if he could make you forget who you are, he could make you live beneath what I created you to become. That is why he constantly whispered lies. You are not enough. You have no purpose. You will never change. Nothing good is coming. But those lies were never the truth. The truth is that you are chosen. The truth is that you are loved. The truth is that you have survived battles that should have destroyed you. And the truth is that I am not finished with your story. My child, the intensity of the battle is not a sign that you should retreat. It is a sign that you should keep moving forward, because the enemy only fights hardest when he senses that something is slipping from his grasp. He can see what is coming more clearly than many people can. He knows there are doors beginning to open. He knows there is healing beginning to emerge. He knows there is freedom approaching. He knows there is a breakthrough closer than ever before. And what terrifies him most is not what you have been through. It is what will happen when you finally realize that I have been with you all along. The attacks were real. The struggle was real. But my power is greater. My promises are stronger. And the future I have prepared for you is bigger than any opposition that has tried to stand in your way. So do not let the battle convince you that you are losing. The very fact that the enemy fought so hard may be evidence that something extraordinary is much closer than you think. My child, one of the greatest mistakes you can make is believing that nothing has changed. Because when you look at your life, you often focus on what is still missing. You focus on the prayer that has not been answered yet, the door that is not opened yet, the breakthrough that has not fully arrived yet. And because your eyes are fixed on what has not happened, you sometimes fail to see what already has. You are not the same person you were before. You may not realize it. You may not feel it every day. But heaven sees the difference. The person who entered this difficult season is not the same person listening to these words right now. You have changed. You have grown. You have been transformed. Think about where you were when this journey began. There were things that used to shake you completely. Situations that would leave you hopeless. Problems that would keep you awake for days. Yet somehow, despite everything you have faced, you are still standing. Not because life became easy, but because I have been strengthening you from the inside. The growth happened quietly. It happened during the nights nobody saw. It happened during the prayers nobody heard. It happened during the battles nobody knew you were fighting. While you thought you were merely surviving, I was developing you. I was teaching you how to trust me when circumstances made no sense. I was teaching you how to walk by faith instead of sight. I was teaching you how to depend on my strength instead of your own. And little by little, something inside you began to change. Your faith became deeper. Your wisdom became greater. Your discernment became sharper. Your relationship with me became stronger. My child, there are things you can handle now that once would have overwhelmed you. You have survived disappointments that once would have broken you. You have walked through valleys that once would have caused you to quit. You have learned lessons that could only be learned through experience. And although the process was painful, the growth was real. The enemy wanted the pressure to destroy you. Instead, it developed you. He wanted the trial to weaken you. Instead, it strengthened you. He wanted the waiting season to make you bitter. Instead, it made you wiser. That is what happens when my hand remains on someone's life. What was intended for harm becomes part of their preparation. My child, there are areas where you still feel weak. There are still battles you are fighting. There are still prayers you are waiting to see answered. I know that. But do not confuse unfinished growth with lack of growth. Just because the journey is not complete does not mean progress has not happened. A tree does not become fully grown overnight. Yet every day it becomes stronger. Every day its roots go deeper. Every day it moves closer to maturity. The same is true for you. You are becoming stronger than you realize. You are becoming more resilient than you know. You are becoming more prepared than you understand. And the version of you that is emerging from this season is capable of carrying blessings that the old version of you could not have sustained. That is why this process mattered. That is why the waiting mattered. That is why the refining mattered. Because I am not only interested in giving you a blessing, I am interested in preparing you to keep it. I am not only focused on opening doors, I am focused on making sure you are ready to walk through them. And when you finally look back at this season, you will see that some of the greatest miracles were not the things that changed around you. They were the things that changed within you. Your trust grew. Your character grew, your faith grew, your dependence on me grew, and that transformation is already evidence that my hand has been working in your life. So, stop measuring your progress only by what you have received. Look at who you have become. Look at how far I have already brought you. Look at the strength that now exists where weakness once lived. Look at the faith that remains despite everything you have endured. You are not who you used to be. You are becoming who I created you to be. And now that the preparation has changed you, I am ready to show you something else. There are doors ahead that no human being can close. There are opportunities ahead that no enemy can stop. There are blessings ahead that have your name on them. And the season you are entering will reveal just how much I have been preparing for this moment. My child, after everything you have endured, after every lesson learned in the waiting, after every battle you survived, I want you to hear these words clearly. I am opening a door no one can shut. Not because you earned it, not because you are perfect, not because you never struggled, but because my purpose for your life is still alive. There have been seasons when it felt like every door was closing. The opportunity you hoped for disappeared. The relationship you believed would last came to an end. The plan you carefully built fell apart. You knocked, and nothing opened. You prayed, and nothing seemed to move. You waited, and all you saw were obstacles. But what you did not realize was that I was teaching you something important. Not every open door comes from me, and not every closed door is a punishment. Sometimes I close doors because I love you too much to let you walk into the wrong future. Sometimes I shut down opportunities that look good because I have something better prepared. Sometimes my protection feels like disappointment until you can finally see the bigger picture. My child, there are doors that human effort cannot open. There are opportunities that no amount of striving can create. There are blessings that only heaven can release. And when I decide the time is right, no force on earth can stop what I have ordained. People may oppose you. Circumstances may seem impossible. Resources may appear insufficient. But none of those things determine your future. I do. The same God who guided you through the valley is the God who controls the mountain ahead. The same God who protected you during the storm is the God who prepares the next season. The same God who carried you through the waiting is the God who now says, "It is time to move forward." My child, the door I am opening may not look exactly like what you expected. Many people miss my blessing because they become attached to their own version of the answer. They pray for one specific outcome and fail to recognize that I am offering something greater. Do not become so focused on what you thought should happen that you miss what I am actually doing. Trust me, my plans have always been bigger than your fears. My vision has always extended beyond your current circumstances. What I open will fit your purpose. What I open will align with your calling. What I open will bring you closer to the future I have prepared for you. Perhaps the door I am opening is healing. Healing from wounds you have carried for years. Healing from disappointments that still affect your heart. Healing from burdens you were never meant to carry alone. Or perhaps it is a new opportunity, a fresh beginning, a relationship, a ministry, a calling, a dream that seemed impossible. Whatever form it takes, know this. The door is not opening because circumstances suddenly became favorable. The door is opening because my timing has arrived. For so long you have been asking, "When, Lord?" And while I may not reveal every detail, I want you to understand that movement has already begun. Things are shifting. Pieces are aligning. Paths are being cleared. The preparation season is giving way to the next chapter. Do not let fear stop you when the door appears. Do not let doubt convince you to stay where you are. Do not allow past disappointments to keep you from embracing future blessings. The enemy would love nothing more than for you to remain trapped by old fears. He wants you to believe that every opportunity will end in disappointment, but I am calling you to trust again, believe again, hope again, because the God who preserved you through the process is also the God who opens the door. And when my hand opens a door, no enemy can close it, no obstacle can block it, no lie can destroy it, no opposition can overturn it. What I have spoken over your life will stand. What I have promised will come to pass. What I have prepared for you cannot be stolen by the enemy, delayed forever by circumstances, or canceled by the opinions of others. So, lift your eyes. Raise your expectations. Strengthen your faith. because the season of standing outside the door is coming to an end. I am opening a door that no one can shut, and when you walk through it, you will understand why I asked you to trust me through every step of the journey. My child, now that the door is beginning to open, there is one final obstacle that the enemy will try to place in your path. Fear. Not because he can stop what I have planned, but because he hopes you will stop yourself. Fear has a voice. You know that voice well. It whispers, what if it doesn't work out? What if you fail again? What if you get hurt again? What if you trust God and end up disappointed? Fear always speaks in questions. It rarely presents itself as an obvious enemy. Instead, it disguises itself as caution, logic, or self-protection. But many times, what fear calls protection is actually a prison. My child, think about how many opportunities fear has already tried to steal from you. How many dreams were delayed because fear convinced you to wait? How many prayers remained unspoken because fear told you they were too impossible? How many steps of faith were postponed because fear insisted the risk was too great? The enemy knows something important. He knows he cannot change the plans I have for you, but he hopes he can make you hesitate long enough to miss the moment. That is why fear often grows louder right before a breakthrough, right before freedom, right before healing, right before restoration. The closer you get to your miracle, the more desperate fear becomes. Do not be surprised by that. Fear shouted at Peter when he stepped out of the boat. Fear shouted at David when he faced Goliath. Fear shouted at countless men and women of faith throughout history. Yet the miracle was never found in listening to fear. The miracle was found in trusting me. My child, courage does not mean the absence of fear. Courage means choosing faith even when fear is present. It means taking the next step when you do not have all the answers. It means believing my promises more than you believe your doubts. I am not asking you to understand everything. I am asking you to trust me. Trust that I know where I am leading you. Trust that I will not abandon you halfway through the journey. Trust that the same God who carried you through the valley can also guide you into the blessing ahead. You have come too far to turn back now. You have survived too much to let fear decide your future. You have prayed too many prayers, endured too many battles, and grown too much in faith to surrender at the edge of your breakthrough. Do not let yesterday's disappointments define tomorrow's possibilities. Do not let old wounds convince you that healing is impossible. Do not let temporary circumstances speak louder than my promises. The miracle I have prepared for you requires faith. Not perfect faith, not giant faith. Just willing faith. Faith that says, Lord, I do not see everything, but I trust you. Faith that says, Lord, I am afraid, but I will keep moving forward. Faith that says, Lord, your promises are greater than my fears. My child, the future I have prepared for you is on the other side of this moment. Do not allow fear to talk you out of what heaven is trying to bring into your life. The enemy wants you to focus on what could go wrong. I want you to remember what can go right when my hand is upon you. Because the miracle you have been praying for may be much closer than you realize. And now, the choice before you is simple. Will you listen to fear? Or will you trust me and step forward into the future I have prepared for you? My child, after everything you have heard today, after every reminder of my love, my faithfulness, and my plans for your life, you now stand at a moment of decision. Not a decision about tomorrow, not a decision for next month, a decision for right now, because every breakthrough begins with a choice. Every new season begins with a step. Every miracle begins with faith. For so long, you have been waiting for circumstances to change. You have been waiting for the perfect sign. You have been waiting for complete certainty. But faith has never required complete certainty. Faith requires trust. Trust that I am who I say I am. Trust that my promises are still true. Trust that what I have spoken over your life will come to pass. Today, you have two voices speaking to you. One voice says, stay where you are. Protect yourself. Do not hope too much. Do not expect too much. Do not trust again. That voice is rooted in fear. The other voice is my voice. It says, come closer. Trust me. Believe again. Open your heart. Take the next step. That voice is rooted in faith. My child, I will never force you to choose me. Love does not work that way. I stand at the door and invite. I call. I guide. But the decision to trust me is yours. Will you continue carrying burdens I never asked you to carry? Or will you place them in my hands? Will you continue living as though your story is already written? Or will you trust me to write the chapters that have not yet been revealed? Will you allow fear to determine your future? Or will you allow faith to lead you forward? This is your moment, a holy moment, a moment where heaven is inviting you to stop looking backward and start looking ahead. The past may explain where you have been, but it does not determine where you are going. Your disappointments are not your destiny. Your failures are not your identity. Your setbacks are not your future. I have something greater ahead, but you must choose to believe it. You must choose to trust me even when you cannot see every detail. You must choose faith over fear, hope over despair, trust over doubt. So right now, wherever you are, make that decision in your heart. Say, Lord, I trust you. Say, Lord, I surrender my fears. Say, Lord, I believe you are leading me into something greater. Because the moment you choose faith is the moment you stop living as a prisoner of yesterday and begin stepping into the future I have prepared for you. And one day, you will look back at this very moment and realize it was the turning point that changed everything. My child, one day you will look back on this season with different eyes. The questions that trouble you now will no longer feel so heavy. The delays that once frustrated you will finally make sense. The doors that remained closed will no longer feel like rejection. And the battles you fought will reveal the strength they produced within you. One day, you will see the full picture. You will see how I protected you when you thought I was ignoring you. You will see how I guided you when you thought you were lost. You will see how I was working behind the scenes when everything appeared silent. The waiting was not meaningless. The tears were not wasted. The prayers were not forgotten. Every step of the journey served a purpose. Even the painful parts, especially the painful parts, because those were the moments when I was shaping your character, strengthening your faith, and preparing you for what was ahead. My child, if I had shown you the entire plan from the beginning, you would not have needed faith. But faith is what brought you closer to me. Faith is what carried you through the darkness. Faith is what kept you moving when you could not see the destination. And that faith will not be disappointed. The day is coming when you will stand in a place of peace, healing, and gratitude. You will remember the nights you cried, the prayers you prayed, and the moments you almost gave up. And instead of asking, "Why did I have to wait?" you will say, "Thank you, Lord. Now I understand." You will understand that my timing was never against you. It was always working for you. And when that day comes, you will know beyond any doubt that I never left you, never forgot you, and never stopped writing a beautiful story with your life. Heavenly Father, today we come before you with grateful hearts. Thank you for speaking to us through this message and reminding us that we are never forgotten, never abandoned, and never beyond your reach. Lord, for every person listening right now, I ask that you fill their heart with your peace. Lift every burden that has become too heavy to carry. Heal every wound that still brings pain. Bring comfort to those who feel discouraged and strength to those who feel weary. Father, help us trust your timing even when we do not understand the process. Teach us to walk by faith and not by sight. When fear tries to speak louder than your promises, remind us that you are still in control. We surrender our worries, our disappointments, and our unanswered questions into your hands. We choose to believe that you are working behind the scenes, even when we cannot see it. Open the doors that are part of your perfect plan. Guide our steps, protect our hearts, and lead us into the future you have prepared for us. Thank you for your unfailing love, your endless mercy, and your constant presence. We trust you with our lives, our families, our dreams, and our future. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Before you leave, I want to invite you to make a declaration of faith. Not because God needs to hear it, he already knows your heart, but because there is power in speaking faith over your life. If this message touched you today, type these words in the comments. Lord, I trust your timing. Let that be your declaration. Let it be your reminder that God is still working, even when you cannot see it. Let it be your testimony that you refuse to give up, refuse to let fear win, and refuse to believe the lies that say your story is over. Remember this: the same God who carried you through every difficult season is the same God who is leading you into your next chapter. Your waiting was not wasted. Your prayers were not ignored. Your breakthrough has not been canceled, and your future is still in God's hands. If this message encouraged you, be sure to subscribe and join our growing family of believers. We share daily messages of faith, hope, encouragement, and God's promises to strengthen you on your journey. Also, share this message with someone who may need hope today. One simple share could be the answer to someone else's prayer. May God's peace surround you, His wisdom guide you, and His favor go before you. Stay faithful, stay hopeful, and never forget, God is still writing your story.